the background for my
Good evening, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Happy Sunday to you all. Welcome to our college football recap of Week 8. Let that sink in, boys and girls. It's Week 8 of college football. We waited all year for this, and now we're more than halfway over. It's actually honestly genuinely depressing. Like, it's exciting that we're really getting into the thick of things, but it also concerns me that we're getting to the end here, and it upsets me tremendously. We have a jam-packed show. Obviously, we're going to talk about the over-reliable, the rebound team. You like that? Who's been peeled off? I don't know. We'll see. And then, of course, game of the week. And Cody want to roll out a new segment called the hot seat. So we're going to pass it over to Cody when we get into that segment of which coach is in the hot seat. Look, you would think you know who it is, but honestly, I had a different thought of who it would be than he threw out, which I think I should have known who was coming. But happy to have all of you here, boys and girls. Hope you like our new little layout. Try to change it up a little bit to separate our different shows. But be sure to smash the like button, subscribe. Welcome to the family. It's growing like a weed on the way to 18,000 subs. And without further ado, Cody the Professor, how you doing, big guy?
cheers from the cold Midwest here. Balmy 43 degrees. Have a little Jack and Coke in my mason jar.
We've upgraded from Bush. Is that what happens when it gets cold up there for you Northerners?
Yeah, the bush will freeze, and so you gotta step it up to something with a little more alcohol content, so your blood doesn't freeze here. But yeah, boy, I tell you, what a week of games. Even for not having a Gator game, still I was pretty excited for a couple of them, right?
Great weekend, honestly, and it was separated perfectly. We had some good games at 12. We had some great games at 3:30. And then it closed out with some great games. So really well separated, which was exciting to see. Because sometimes you'll be watching and all the great games aren't at one time. And you just kind of quad box the hell out of it, and you're just like this. I was a little more just kind of one side of the quad box this Saturday, which was nice to have. Now I was sweating the Air Force Navy game. I had 11.5 on Navy by itself. It was part of a parlay too. And Navy decided to go down and wake up and score to make they fumbled it, blundered it. Air Force pokes it in to go up 17-0. And then Navy decides to go down and score. Misses the extra point, but they lost by 11. I had it 11.5. And then I was sweating the under on Iowa versus Minnesota, under 30. I think ended up being like 29. So a couple of nail biters there for your boy. It was a good one.
For sure. Yeah, they definitely don't play much offense in the Big Ten, it seems like.
That's very much true, and we're going to get into that. So let's talk about the over-reliable for this weekend. Let's get this thing started. We've got old reliable here in Ohio State. Now, look, although it was a nail-biter for the most part, it just feels like it is old reliable because Ohio State beats Penn State once again, making Penn State irrelevant. It's done and over with now. Marvin Harrison has an absolute game. I think 11 catches for like over 150 yards. It was pretty much a snooze fest, honestly, the most of the game, if I do say so myself. But Here's the thing that I kind of got with this, that I realized what needs to happen with the Big Ten, because you've got Michigan, Ohio State, and Penn State all on one side. They need to go straight ACC style and allow for this thing to be busted wide open and get rid of both sides, because now that Penn State has lost this game, I would love to see Penn State versus Ohio State in a neutral site. I mean, that's kind of been the joke on Twitter, is if so-and-so was on a neutral site, what would have happened? I would love to see this happen again on a neutral site, but Penn State, in a way, is now out of this unless they're out of it, because even if they beat Michigan beats Ohio State, doesn't matter, because I guess, no, if Michigan beats Ohio State and Penn State beats Michigan, then I guess they would be in it. I don't know how that would work. I think it's dumb, because they're going to end up going against like a 3-loss Wisconsin or a 4-loss Wisconsin, and like always, the Big Ten championship is going to come down to the last game of the year, which is going to be Michigan, Ohio State. So I don't like it. I don't like it for the Penn State, because, again, Penn State was extremely excited, and for you to lose your entire season on this one game is it's just not good. But look, Ohio State is reliable, because this game feels like it comes and goes every single year, and Ohio State gets it done, and that's what they did. They handled business. I feel like Ohio State seems to always get the lucky card that when Penn State's on its turnover year, the game's at Ohio State. right? When last year it was at Penn State, but Penn State was still trying to find its rhythm. This was a year that Penn State probably would have got Ohio State and split them up at home. It would have been this year, but Ohio State gets it done and keeps it moving here. But look, Michigan, we had them at first as old reliable because my goodness, son, just embarrassed Michigan State. Absolutely embarrassed Michigan State. I think they put up 40 in the first half. McCarthy didn't even play the whole game. They could have put up 70 if they wanted to. Absolutely disgusting. What do you think, Cody?
Yeah, I think Ohio State is very one-dimensional. They don't have, back in the glory years, they always had like an elite running back that could rip off, giant runs, a home run hitter. They do not have that anymore. They still have the beef up front. They have a good offensive line. They get plenty of time for pass protection. Their quarterback is not as good as some of the Ohio State quarterbacks in the past, but they got Marvin Harrison Jr. and he is an absolute game changer. But if something happens to him, Ohio State's season is gone.
Marvin
It's
Harris.
done. Yes, Marvin Harrison Jr. If he gets injured, the whole season's done. They have no offensive weapons. The play calling's predictable. They have no run game. They ran for 79 yards. They only completed 3 out of 16 third down conversions. Penn State only did 1 out of 13 for, third down conversions. You can't live like that. You're gonna run into a buzzsaw eventually, and it's gonna be Michigan. If they squeak past them, I don't see how they would.
I mean, yeah, they
But
with
Georgia,
on the ground they were
Oregon,
2.6 a carry on the ground against
not
Penn
good.
State. Yeah, McCord, I mean, he threw for 22 for 35 for 286 with a touchdown. Again, 162 yards of those going to Marvin Harrison. Look, I think Michigan, if they continue to play the way they're going to play, they're going to absolutely bully them. And same thing with Penn State. Look, I think Penn State is definitely much better this year. They kept saying it was their year. I didn't believe it. I obviously had my reasons, and I was right. I've been pounding the drum that Michigan is going to be the team to beat, and with each passing week, I continue to believe that it doesn't matter what scandals they throw at Jim Harbaugh and the khakis, they're going to get it done. So you're getting roasted in the chat right now with your haircut. I don't know what's going on. Usually you got a visor on, I think.
Yeah, yeah, usually.
He goes, yeah. Hey, cut Cody some slack. The guy's grinding, boys. Take it
Yeah,
easy on the
I don't
guy.
get much sleep, okay? I don't have time for a haircut, alright?
Uh,
So I think the biggest thing though is something we talked about. Everybody talks about how elite Ohio State's defense is because they're in some total defense, they're number 1 in the nation. But if you look at the Big 10 and who they're playing, 35 is Ohio State with the best offense in the Big 10. There's nothing after that, it drops way down the list and nothing before it. So,
surprisingly,
maybe the
Michigan's that
defense
low.
is so good. Maybe the defense is so good because they don't play any offense. I mean, we just saw Iowa, Minnesota, that they couldn't even score 29 points.
Golly.
Um,
Their
it
offense was
it's just
bad.
Wisconsin's not Wisconsin was supposed to bring the air raid, they're not scoring a bunch of points. It's one of them things where it's like, yeah, maybe there is 3 defenses in the top 25 in the Big 10 that's legit and good, but maybe they look better than what they do because there's no offense. There's no offense in the Big 10. And I just don't know how
I
Ohio
have to
State
just
could get by in
Michigan
Oregon.
has a powerful offense. They just haven't really needed it to pop off. I mean, they just kind of handle business. They run all over you, but we haven't really had to see the top come off. I mean, the schedule is a joke. We've talked about that with Michigan. It's going to heat up here the last few weeks, so we'll see if Michigan get truly tested. But um, yeah, that's
Not wearing a toupee. Jesus.
dude. They says look, it says get a bigger bowl. I was about to die, bro. Bro, I'd be rolling, bro. I can't even. I'm trying to focus, and I can't even. I can't even because you guys aren't paying attention to Michigan's offense. No, Michigan's offense is exceptional. LFGM. I just think the stats they're not probably ranked very high because they only play 2 quarters every game. They don't need to do anything because defensively they're shutting teams down, and then offensively they're cruising. I completely agree that they are they're rocking and rolling. So we'll see here. Let's move on to our bounce back team of the week. So we've got Utah here. Now, I know they won before this week against Cal after they lost 2 weeks ago, but Cal wasn't really a true bounce back. That's why we have them on our rebound game, because it was a huge W for them rolling into USC and just completely just crushing USC and all hopes. And we've got a lot to talk about here, because this is going to be a big one, in my opinion, about just USC and how bad they look. But real quick, let's talk about Utah for just a quick second. Utah looked like Utah did. Bryson Barnes came in. The guy's undefeated as a starter. Obviously, Florida got a lot of shit because Bryson Barnes came in and handled business, and yet they continued to handle business. Now heading in 6-1 after taking down USC again at USC. It was back and forth. They won it off on a walk-off field goal, but same story, new week. USC doesn't have a defense, and now the narrative is coming out: should Caleb Williams sit the rest of the year out? And this is where we talked 2 weeks ago. If I had to choose, who would I take? Right now, bro, I would take Jordan Travis over Caleb Williams. There's just so many red flags that I'm not sold on Caleb Williams. Look, this wasn't his narrative that he's pumping out, but afterwards, I don't know if you guys saw after the Notre Dame game, a fan ran down, took a selfie, and said, "What's on your fingernails?" They asked him a few days later, what did you think about it? And he goes, I get it. Everyone wants to be standing, in these 13 size shoes. I don't have time for sheep. It was just like comments like that. Like, if you're looking at that, if I'm an NFL program, right, and I look at that, I go, why would I want to be associated with that? And look, I know NFLs are going to look at this kid and like, this kid's elite. They're going to ignore all the signs like they normally do and bring him on anyways. And I want him to be successful. This isn't me hating, but he went from being, again, the candidate to win back-to-back Heisman favorites to she shouldn't even play anymore. That's the narrative being pumped out right now, is that he shouldn't finish out the rest of the season. And this is the part that I hate where we're headed as college football, because, look, when I'm watching Jordan Travis in that Duke game and I watch Caleb Williams against the Utah game, someone like a Jordan Travis, he's there to bleed for that team. And someone like that is going to put you over the top. That's what's going to make you win championships. The fact that this is already becoming a business decision, and I understand that, and I don't want to be the old guy sitting up on the top of my perch saying, back in my day, they used to play for the colors and all this stuff. I am to a certain extent, but at what point, I get it's a business decision, but at what point do we have to have appreciation for the school and for the coaches and for the players around me that allowed for this to even be a business decision, right? You can't just quit halfway through because of what could be. And I get it. The hard part is that we're talking about millions and millions of dollars that you could be, risking. But I guess that goes back to just kind of how things were back in the old days. I love Game of Thrones. When you shake hand and you say, "Hey, I'm going to do this," you stick to that through and through, regardless of what happens. And we have gotten way far away from that. I understand that. But just hearing that, quitting on your team halfway through because the goals that you were hoping to achieve are no longer achievable, we just quit. I don't like it.
Yeah, did you see where he came out and said there was only a specific number of teams that he would play for and that he wants part ownership of the teams?
I did. Unbelievable.
Which I don't think you can do in the NFL. We talked about that with Brady. So it's one of those things where it's like, you haven't even played a snap in the big leagues yet. Like, chill. And then another thing is, it's like, I think the frustrating thing is this is a Lincoln Riley type of quarterback, but on 1,000%. Like just this is what we expect. Kyler Murray is the same way, where they're wondering if he even loves the game. He's like up playing video games all night and shit instead of reading the playbook. And so it's like, when is it coaching? Is it the kid? Is it both? What is it?
I don't know. I don't know. I think it's a little bit of everything again. And so look, I gave Caleb Williams some criticism. Let me go ahead now and give Lincoln Riley some criticism. You came out with a hot take last week thinking that he was going to leave. By leaving, you meaning going to the NFL. I think these coaches have also taken advantage of the entire situation, and that there isn't enough talk about that on coaches just getting the bag, sucking for a year, and said, "All right, I'm out." Dan Mullen, perfect example. Who's Mel Tucker from Michigan State? That's a little bit different situation. Jimbo Fisher. I mean, the guy's owed $90 million, right? So you got all these guys that are just getting these massive checks, and there is no expectations. Billy, right, Napier for the Florida Gators, a lot of fans were starting to be up in arms because when we lost to Kentucky, the mayhem started once again to fire Billy, but everyone's like, we're not going to fire him. He's owed $31 million. And it's like, why do we put ourselves in these situations? The coaches should have to also work for their paycheck in a sense, because if, these kids have a bad game, they're likely to get benched, which then affects their NIL. There's a lot, that's always been a thing, but these coaches, I feel like more and more now, the money that's guaranteed is outrageous, and they have one bad season. The fans go irate about it. It's like, you know what? Screw it. I don't care. I got my check. What are you going to do? I mean, Cliff Kingsbury from Arizona, prime example, cashes in, heads over to USC. I mean, it's just that mindset of doesn't matter. That's where it feels like where we're headed. But again, I mean, and I understand Caleb Williams is just one person. He just didn't look like he cared last night. He never really has had that dog in him, I guess. And it's coming more and more, through as these games go along. And again, if I'm a GM of an NFL team, there's a lot of red flags there. There's a lot of talk of him staying and playing next year. How serious that was, I don't know. But now the talk is for him to sit the rest of the season out. If he sits the rest of the season out, I don't know how you could. I mean, he will. He'll get drafted. But I saw the Patriots. My buddy kind of started a narrative that the Patriots were tanking to go win Caleb Williams. Bill saw that game last night and then went out and beat the Buffalo Bills. He's like, yeah, we're not tanking for Caleb anymore. We're good here. So he goes, hey Mac, I need you to start playing better. So we'll see.
Yeah, the Minnesota Vikings obviously off to a bad start. Not to stay on NFL, but we also had the deal for tanking for Williams, and I don't want him. Stay as far away from this kid as you can. This guy's got more red flags than my ex-wife. I mean, Jesus Christ. It's glaring. It's so glaring. It's a billboard of do not draft me, but somebody will.
Yeah, I mean, of course they're going to. And look, I'm not trying to. I'm shitting on the kid right now, but it just. I don't know. Look, Utah's not a bad team, so it's not like you lost to a bad team, but you drove down the football field. Not really. You got a big return from Zachariah Branch, and look, USC reminds me they've got a ton of talent on that football team. That's honestly what keeps them in it. They are just so talented. They have so much talent through and through. So many athletes on the football field that literally one guy touches the ball and can make a play happen and keep them in it and keep them close. And that's kind of how that game felt. Watching Utah, that they've got athletes out there, so that look they'll keep a ball game, but they're just not dominant. And no joke, they may lose out. They're going to beat California, but they may not lose another game for the rest of the season. And what are they, 6-2 right now? So let me take a look at their schedule really fast before we move on. I mean, look at the stats too. They just got dominated, man. 34 minutes. And that's the other thing too. Lincoln played right into Kyle Whittingham's hand. Billy did it too, so I can't talk too much because a lot of teams do. Hence why Utah is only has one loss. We'll see how it plays out. But they've got California next week, and then it's Washington, Oregon, and UCLA. And UCLA is starting to find a little bit of a rhythm themselves. That game is in USC, but at that point, USC could roll into that game with, again, two more losses, being at 7-4, and again the season just being completely obliterated, and them losing to Air Force in a bowl game. That's how their season's playing out right now, which is crazy to think. Again, and Utah is looking primed once again to head to the Pac-12 championship. Now, Utah has Oregon next Saturday, so that's going to be an absolute blast to watch right at 3:30, same time as the damn Georgia-Florida game. So that's going to obviously put a lot of tell on where this is headed. And again, Utah lost to Oregon State, which was an absolute nail-biter. So this thing's going to work itself out because Oregon State's got to play Oregon. Washington's got to play Utah. So we'll see this thing kind of unfold as the rest of the year goes. But man, the Pac-12 is really starting to heat up a little bit for sure.
And shout out to the boy Bryson Barnes, man.
Undefeated as a starter at Utah.
And Stud. Was a third stringer.
Stud. Absolutely handling business out there. Good for him. Let me take a look at his stats really quick before we move on to the next. 14 of 23 for 235 yards, but 3 touchdowns. And Caleb Williams had 0 tutties. So
yeah, effective. Just effective.
Good stuff there. And he had 57 yards rushing with a touchdown. Bryson Barnes did. So good stuff. Boys and girls, smash the like button. Subscribe if you guys are new here. Hope you guys are enjoying the content. Let's move on to You Like That. look, this isn't. I'm not excited to have this conversation, but order of business is how these things work. So let's get into it. You like that? You like that? It's got to be that's the wrong one. It's got to be FSU this week, boys and girls, against Duke. Look, they handled business. It was close in the beginning, but it wasn't really ever close. This has kind of been FSU's mantra all year long. They start off kind of slow, and then they take off and they have an offense that can handle it. And this is exactly what I was talking about with Jordan Travis. Took the game in his own hand. Said, "Hey, I got this." His legs are such an extreme, such a massive threat that they're such a great threat that you don't even think about them. When you think about Joe Milton, when you think about Milroe, you think, "Hey, this guy can run." Jordan Travis, we know he can run, but his ability to just sling around the football field, you forget that he can run. And all of a sudden, he's just, boom, 15, 20 yards on the football field. Who said it last week talking about Spencer Rattler saying he's sneaky fast, right? That's kind of how Jordan Travis is. Like all of a sudden, he's 15, 20 yards on the football field. And there you go. So, look, I know a lot of Florida fans and other fans are going to be pissed off saying, like, it was close. It was close until it wasn't. And then all of a sudden, FSU just got it rolling. Duke got wore out. The defense got beat up. Look, them losing Riley Leonard, who knows if he stays in what would have happened, but they were hanging on by a thread. This is the one thing, look, in our top five, FSU has not hit our top five yet, and they still will not hit our top five. I think they played well against Duke. I just feel like we haven't seen a complete game yet. Until I can see a truly complete game. Look, I almost tweeted they're a second half team, joking, but also kind of being true because they've been a second half team all year long. Now, look, with UNC going down, which we're going to talk about in a little bit, that absolutely crushed me. UNC going down. I thought they were going to be a big threat, and I still think they'll be a big threat in the ACC for FSU simply because their offensive firepower, I think, goes toe-to-toe with FSU. They can keep up with what FSU is able to do. Right now, do I believe FSU can beat a Michigan, can beat a Georgia, can beat a Bama? I don't believe so. And you can call me a hater. I just don't feel that FSU has showed me that, hey, they're clicking in all cylinders. And if they come up against a team that shuts them down, that shuts down Jordan Travis, that also has the ability to score pretty free-willingly, I just don't see that yet. I think Ohio State could beat them, to be honest with you. Now, I'm not saying they can't get things figured out. This is supposed to be FSU's year. And look, I know I saw a couple guys on Twitter getting worked up because I think the conversation is if they're undefeated, do you put them in over, let's say, a one-loss Bama or, let's say Bama beats Georgia. Let's say this works out and Georgia's undefeated up until that point. Bama beats Georgia. So Bama goes with one loss. You got Georgia with one loss. Both those guys are going in the playoffs. Michigan's going to be there, right? And possibly an undefeated Pac-12 championship who's played a much harder schedule than FSU. So it could happen. I'm not saying it will, but I know that's going to be definitely a point of conversation. If FSU can't really start to figure out, I think they got to start dominating these teams. They got Miami, make a mockery out of them, and then when they play UNC, that'll be a big win if they're able to pull that off. $5 from Harlan to just showing love. # Blount, # 7it out. Thank you, Harlan, for just showing love. Let's see here. What do you got, Cody? What do you got from the game?
Well, first of all, let's just establish this right now.
Okay.
Georgia's gonna have a loss before they even get that far.
Fair enough. Couldn't agree more.
It's gonna be Florida next week.
Couldn't agree more.
Because it's fuck Georgia week. Okay, guys, I seen it in the chat. It's starting today. It's fuck Georgia week. So they're gonna have a loss. My dog's in the background. I'm sorry.
You're good.
He loves me, and it's going to be one of those losses that we embarrass them. It's going to be bad, and Uncle Lou's going to cry.
Can we talk FSU Duke real quick?
Yeah. Okay. Back. Sorry, scrolled off a little bit.
Yeah.
So, FSU, man. Jordan Travis just shows up. He might be a Heisman candidate because when FSU needs him, he has guys hanging off of him, making throws. He's knocking defenders down. He's getting the first down when you need it. It's all Jordan Travis. It's to show this is what FSU's been waiting for, a healthy Jordan Travis to finally get through a season. And I early on, I said that they're a top 4 team, and I still believe they are.
Really? Okay. I think they have the ability to. They just haven't looked like that. And look, it's going back to him being the guy, right, and taking over here. Jordan Travis, 10 carries for 62 yards. He led the team in rushing, led the team in average. And Trey Benson, 10 carries for 26 yards. Still has not found his rhythm yet. I talked about that on our Saturday show with TJ from Double Fries and a Slaw about Trey Benson finding his identity and finding his rhythm. Going into this, Trey Benson was considered a top running back in the league. I'm not saying that he's not. He just hasn't had a breakout game or hasn't had a string of games to really be, what we thought he should be. Jordan Travis, again, 27 of 36 for 268, 2 touchdowns and an interception. Again, that interception was a pick six. But all in all, I mean, it's the Jordan Travis show. And defensively, you guys obviously kind of shut down Duke. I think Miami, I see a Miami fan in here kind of talking a little bit of smack, saying FSU is going to lose to the Miami upset. That's a game that's definitely going to be nerve-wracking. Miami taking down Clemson in the fashion they did. I think Miami now all of a sudden has a little bit of wind underneath their wings a little bit. If they lose that game, they're definitely punching air. They're punching air, but they feel like, okay, we're not completely trash. And now this game is definitely going to be circled. So we'll see. My buddy who's a USC fan said that USC circled the calendar for this Utah game because of what happened last year. I texted him this morning. I go, did you guys circle that in dry eraser? Because it didn't really stick. So he didn't like that. He didn't take it that well.
Yeah. Yeah, it's gonna be an interesting game with those when those two match up. It's gonna be one to watch. I'll TiVo
it. Beam, what's going on, man? And Godspeed, how you doing, Bubba? Good to see you all you guys here. Take it easy on Cody's hair, okay? I mean, golly, Cody, you can't just wear a hat next time.
I will.
Unbelievable. All right, boys, let's get into our next segment, which probably one of my favorite segment is You've Been Peeled Off.
Son, okay.
You won't be needing that one anymore.
No.
That's how I feel. Exactly how she looked right there. That's exactly how I feel this week after UNC just gets obliterated to Virginia. Now, look, in a weird way, okay, Virginia, to say that I've watched some Virginia ball is crazy, but I watched that Tennessee game versus Virginia. Virginia could have been close against Tennessee. Defensively, they've got something figured out. Offensively, they couldn't figure out how to score against Tennessee. Apparently, they found it against UNC at UNC. One of those games, I guess, that, it seems like this is kind of what the ACC teams do. They find a way to lose, to ruin my day, because Louisville did it last week against Pitt, and now UNC's doing it this week against Virginia. I thought there was going to be a nail-biter here. Who was going to be the guy? Now, if Miami comes in and beats FSU, then we're right back where we started, and then the ACC is going to become irrelevant again. And then no team from the ACC will be playing in the playoff once again, if that were to happen. But I was high on UNC. I liked the way they looked. I thought offensively they were exciting to watch. I was really hoping they would find a way to get it done, but they just got absolutely plastered against Virginia. I mean, they dominated total yards, 490 to 436, passing yards. Virginia ran all over them, and time of possession, 37 to 22. But Virginia tried to throw this thing away at the end. They fumbled it through the they fumbled it through the end zone, which gave North Carolina the ball back. And you think with that offense, they can just roll down and score. But sure enough, they couldn't get it done, and Virginia was dialed up there. It's Virginia's second win of the season, and I want to say Virginia's other win was probably against a nobody. And Virginia lost to James Madison, who is undefeated, but nonetheless. So Virginia's going on their back-to-back. They beat William and Mary Tribe 27 to 13 the week prior. So this might be Virginia's last win of the season, to be honest with you, against North Carolina, because they've got Miami, then Georgia Tech, then Louisville, then Duke, then Virginia Tech, which that's going to be a nail biter for Virginia and Virginia Tech. But by golly, son, I hate it. I hate it for UNC. Cody?
Yeah, you have to you got to win it when it's at home too. That's a bad loss against a bad team. But what happens is when you, I'm not going to call them chumps, but when you leave a lesser team in the game, it bites you in the ass. And Mac Brown should know better. He should have had that team clicking on all cylinders because he's been coaching since like Noah and the Ark. I don't understand how you go into halftime when it's close and you're like, oh, it's going to be okay. No, I would be greatly concerned when you're struggling against a Virginia team that hasn't been good all year.
Sure. No, I agree. I think, look, and Mac Brown, like you said, is an expert here. He should have figured it out. I love me some Mac Brown, but I don't know. I hate it. I hate it. I honestly, I thought they were going to be much better. I thought they were going to be the team to beat in the ACC, right next to FSU, and I was really. I mean, I think it still will be exciting, but this takes the wind out of the sails for sure. This isn't a game that you're supposed to lose. I was talking again 2 weeks ago. I said, man, this is going to come down to a nail biter with Louisville, FSU, and UNC, because none of the three teams, in my opinion, had a game on their schedule that they should lose. And then Louisville goes, JK, here's the pit loss. And then UNC going down against Virginia here. So
Hold my beer. Watch this, Louisville.
maybe FSU will do the same and follow suit. Fall right in line and make my day. But I just don't see it happen. I think FSU, this was a big win for them. And all of their big games except Florida. But Florida doesn't affect the ACC. It will affect a loss. All their games, their big games, is at home.
Could Miami sneak their way in there?
Miami
against
has
FSU?
No, Miami has two losses.
ACC.
Miami has two
championship
ACC
game?
losses. So
But
right
if they
now,
win out, say they win out.
well, I don't know if they play each other. So UNC doesn't play Miami. Well, they already did, excuse me, and they already beat them. So UNC would need to lose again, which they could. They played Duke and Clemson. So they could lose again. But someone would have to, and Louisville would need to lose as well.
Who's
For Miami.
Louisville have left?
For Miami to poke it through. Let me see who Louisville's got left. They're I don't think they play Miami either, to be honest with you. They do play Miami. So Miami controls it a little bit but they hold UNC would need to lose two more. That's how it plays. I don't think Miami has a chance. Fortunately.
Just thought.
So, I appreciate it. I love where your energy's at. Last on our calendar here is game of the week here, which was Bama gonna Bama. Look, they could have been over reliable, but it was a good game. Down 20-7 against Joe Milton in Tennessee. And to be honest with you, watching that game, Tennessee looked like they did against Florida. They had two big plays that allowed them to score 2 touchdowns. The rest were field goals. That was it. Okay? So it was 14-0. Then they had 2 field goals because they couldn't execute in the red zone. And then they just forgot how to play defense. You come out of the half, you score within 20 seconds, being Bama scoring within 20 seconds. Now it's a 1-point game. They make a quick stop. They go 3. Tennessee goes 3 and out. Bama flips the field, kicks a field goal. There we go. And then it's touchdown. And then at this point now, Joe Milton has got his back against the wall. They figured it out. They've got nowhere to go. And everyone keeps thinking that this Tennessee offense is incredible, but I saw it against Florida and I saw it again against Alabama. It has its moments. Joe Milton can sling the ball 90 yards and hit a golf cart. Yes, but that's it. And if you take those things away from them and you make it keep in front of them, they've got nothing for you. They can't run the ball effectively. They don't move the ball down the field very effectively. Defensively, sure, they can do their best, but I mean, how long can the defense stay on the football field if you're going 3 and out 3 times in a row? Eventually, Milroe and the boys are going to get it going. And this is what I'm telling you, man. I said it. I've been saying it week in and week out. Bama is rolling. What Bama is doing right now is scaring the living shit out of me, because they're finding themselves week in and week out winning big games when their back's against the wall. People talking about this game possibly being an upset. You're down 20-7 going to the half, and then you scored 30 unanswered against Tennessee. They're rolling. And look, their schedule is an absolute gauntlet. We talked about this weekend and week out, because every week they play Tennessee. They have a bye week. Excuse me. They have a bye week. Then they play LSU. Then they play Kentucky. Then they play Chattanooga. Then they play Auburn. So their schedule is no joke on the way out. And that Kentucky game is at Kentucky, but LSU is at home. Another game that they have circled on their calendar, because again, they lost to Bama or Tennessee at Tennessee, then lost to LSU at LSU by a point. This is going to be another one of those games where they embarrass LSU, take LSU out of it, and they're rolling at this point. Kentucky doesn't stand a chance. I don't care if this game's on a neutral site at Kentucky with 3 players. Bama will find themselves in the ACC championship once again. And if they get Georgia again, which they won't because we determined that Florida's going to be there, it's gonna be ugly. And you're not denying a one-loss Saban again. They denied 2-loss Saban last year. You're not denying a one-loss team of Saban. He's not going to allow that to happen. So we'll see.
Yeah, my question is, who does Tennessee have left on their schedule? I think they go to Kentucky next week.
Probably.
Yeah, so that's back-to-back losses. You're not going to beat that Kentucky defense. I'm sorry. Not after what I saw.
Tennessee has Kentucky, Mizzou, and Georgia left.
Yeah, that's 3 losses in a row. I'm sorry.
It's not a row, but happen. Yeah.
It's it's one of those things where it's Bama's got to figure out the early you can't let teams get way up, because if you let that happen against a Georgia or a Michigan in the playoffs or
LSU.
Oregon,
QE says LSU will light up Alabama's defense. That's a good point. LSU's offense is the thing that keeps them scary, right?
Mm-hmm. You're not coming back. So they have to figure out what they're doing in the first half to be so bad and get that fixed. I think Saban, if there's any coach in college football, I think he can do that definitely. But I'm going to tell you, it was night and day. It was another game where it was tale of two halves, and it was Bama just showing up in the second half and Tennessee just not having an answer. And I just don't understand. You said it over and over and over again. They're a flash in the pan. They're a flash in the pan. It's a gimmicky offense.
In the bottle.
Yeah, it's lightning in the bottle. It's so bad this year. I don't understand what is really going on. I mean, they have a great value Milrow that says that, he never loses anywhere. I haven't found a state he can win in yet, really. It ain't Bama. It ain't Florida. It's not going to be Kentucky. I don't know where he wins. And so do you wonder, do you let the true freshman that they paid all that money to, do you let him go out and start slinging the ball? Because the season's over for you.
It is true. Their 2 losses are away. And all their wins are at home. So maybe Tennessee is the only state that he's undefeated. And they go to Kentucky next week, which you're thinking is going to be somehow Tennessee's still 21. Did Florida crack the top 25? I don't think so, right?
I'm going to tell you this. Kentucky's going to beat the brakes off of them, worse than what they did Florida.
I don't know. I think, look, we're going to be punching air because we allowed Ray Davis just to absolutely bully us. And I think that they're not going to continue to be able to do that, but we'll see.
I think Ray Davis has the same amount of productivity as what he did against Florida, and I think that defense shows up and shuts them out. I don't know if they score points.
We'll see. Steve says Georgia will lose a regular season game. Georgia has Ole Miss, Tennessee, and Florida left. Out of those 3, let's ask a quick little question off the side here. Probably gonna pick Florida, but who do you think has the best chances of winning those games?
Florida.
Now Tennessee is at home against Georgia, and it's going to be a rockin'. And depending on where Tennessee is at that point, could be one of those games.
I don't care if it's.
Go ahead.
I don't care if it's at the North fucking Pole. They ain't winning.
Oh, geez. And Ole Miss is at Georgia. Look, I think Florida Georgia still got Mizzou, but they've got Mizzou at Georgia. The Florida game and Tennessee definitely have to be the 2 most susceptible or reasonable to have an upset. Obviously, Florida fans, we're extremely on a high right now, coming off a big commit from LJ McCray, having a bye week. We're going to be extremely delusional rolling into this week. And look, I've been delusional since week 1. This game is always on the calendar circle for me that it's anybody's ball game. I don't care what preseason ranking you walk into. I'm always a believer going into it. Look, if there's a Georgia team that's going to get caught from the last 3 years, it's going to be this one. I think the W against South Carolina was reassuring the way they got it done, but they've still got a lot of holes to fix. If we can't allow what Florida did against South Carolina to Georgia, it's just not going to work. The same thing we were just talking about with Alabama. You can't get behind a team like Georgia and think you're going to come rolling back. So we'll see. Pigpen says, Arkansas fan here. I'll just be quiet. Well, look, speaking of Arkansas, we got a hot seat segment of the week, and it's going to be old Sam Pittman here. So Pittman had his sixth straight loss, just an absolutely just brutal loss. Fires the offensive coordinator midseason, and his payout is only, like I said, only $12 million. Like it's not that much compared to everybody else. It really isn't that much. But look, that one is interesting with Sam Pittman and him not being fired yet. I thought for sure he would be. And it, bro, an atrocious loss. What was the final score, like 10-3 or some shit like that?
Yeah, it's bad, dude.
With
so
KJ
bad.
Jefferson, I mean, a lot of people have these guys finishing high. I would love to go see the projections of where they thought he would finish.
You can't be so one-dimensional. I mean, I know Rocket Sanders is out, but you have nobody else to step up?
And this is their schedule. They've got a bye this week. So somehow Florida had played South Carolina off a bye, Georgia off a bye, and then Arkansas off a bye. So Arkansas rolls into Florida, which is going to be the blackout game, which Florida has to be favored at this game. Florida's undefeated so far at home. That could be number 7. Then you got Auburn. At this point, Auburn could beat Arkansas. Then you got FIU and then Mizzou. You're looking at a 3-win team. A 3-win team for Arkansas.
Yeah, and we have seen in the past when you start firing coaches mid-season, you're on your way out. It's done, and
It's your last ditch effort to stay alive.
Yeah, you put him up as a sacrificial lamb. The offense isn't going to be no different with the wide receiver coach or whoever else, tight end coach or the water boy calling the plays. It doesn't matter. It's going to be the same offense. And boy, I tell you, for as electric as they were last year, at times, this is just it's one of those things where it's like, what went wrong?
Muddy says Pittman's record at Arkansas for 4 years: 3-7, 9-4, 7-6, and now 2-6. Yeah, it's time to chalk it up. The experiment is over. Imagine this. Look, this guy got 4 years with the schedule at Arkansas.
Yeah, and people are trying to fire Billy.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's not the same kind of caliber of schools, and obviously Florida holds himself to a much higher standard. But you look, 3-7, then you get 9-4. You buy yourself a few years. I think that's what it was. That 7-6 team last year was a really good 7-6 team. Mizzou was my best worst team. I think Mizzou lost a lot of games, but a lot of close one. And now it's starting to show off as they obviously are moving. Yeah, Mizzou is a mother effing problem, and that game is extremely concerning. If Florida is has a stretch here with Georgia, then Arkansas, then LSU, then Mizzou. It's going to be fun for the Florida Gators. But look, coming off that big win, got to have a big week here. Excited to get this week started for Florida, Georgia. Obviously, big presser tomorrow. We'll have Stephen Harris on tomorrow for Champs Corner. But I'm excited for this week for sure.
If I'm Arkansas, I go out and I go pay the Tulane coach Fritz as much as he wants. I don't give a shit because he's about the only coach right now with a decent Power 5 program that can rebuild that shithole.
And look, Pigpen here, Arkansas fan, says they're saying Pittman finishes the season unless a loss to FIU. I mean, I don't know if that would be the hay on the camel's back. But look, I think if you're looking at it, it's like, hey, if you could maybe take down a Florida, take down an Auburn, take down Mizzou, which that's not going to happen. But you got to maybe try to win 2 of those. I mean, yeah, what point do you cut it off after you just now fire the offensive coordinator? Can we see some light? Maybe that's what they're hoping to say. I don't know. I think you got to cut the ties and move on with it. And Zion2215 says Iowa got robbed. To be honest with you, bro, I was sweating over that game because I needed to be under the 30.5, and Mizzou did get robbed. I don't know if you saw, but Minnesota kicked a punt, and the returner was pointing, and he had his hand like doing this, picks it up, runs it back. They called a fair catch. He ran it back for a touchdown, and they called a fair catch. Quarterback comes out, throws an interception because their offense sucks, and they end up losing 10-7. So, we'll see.
I don't believe Iowa got robbed because all you have to do is score some points on offense.
True.
Like, golly.
Yeah, true. It was a field goal fest. Imagine you had those field goals in fantasy. Unreal. They couldn't miss. So, Brady Cook is on fire. Look, right now, Florida has got to get through Georgia. If Florida gets through Georgia very healthily, I like the rest of the season panning out for Florida and having a healthy, successful season. I mean, Landon Elgin McCray are just showing that things are heading in the right direction. And I think the recruiting class that Florida is putting together, I think, is going to keep things intact regardless of how the rest of the season rolls out, just because of how good it's looking. And look, we could still close a few more big ones. But, guys, over 100 people in here, not enough likes. That's for damn sure. So smash the like button. Appreciate you guys always hanging out with us on the Sunday afternoon show. No Sunday show today because the Gators didn't play, but we'll have our Sunday show tomorrow with Stephen Harris and Champs Corner. Then, of course, our show on Wednesday, Uncle Lou will be on the show to represent the Georgia Bulldogs on Wednesday live at 8:35. That's Cody's favorite YouTube talent is Mr. Uncle Lou. So really excited to have him on, talk some shit with him, poke the bear a little bit. That should be an absolute blast. He came on last year for this Florida-Georgia weekend. So, and then on Saturday, we will be in Jacksonville at Duval at a tailgate with the Pouncey brothers, Major Wright, Joe Hayden, Carlos Dunlap, Stephen Harris. The gang will all be there. I will be there live streaming that bad boy from 9 to 3. I'm not live streaming the entire time, but we will be there. $75 a ticket to get in, but it's all you can eat and drink. Can't lose on that. That's an absolute steal of a deal to be able to hang out with some old Gator legends and get absolutely plastered while doing it. So if you guys are in the Duval area and you're hanging out, come by, come say hey, come see us. But we got a jam-packed week in store for you guys. So be sure to turn the bell on, stay tuned up, stay fired up. If you're where Cody's at, put a hoodie on, cover up your nasty haircut, and grab a boozy and stay warm. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna send. Let's all Venmo Cody a haircut fee. So next time he come back with a fresh fade. Look, guys, it's the dad look. I get it. I mean, thankfully I grow a nice luxurious. Look at this thing. I mean, I'm blessed. I know this, okay? And I haven't got a haircut since basically I don't remember the last time I got one because I'm growing out my little man. But not all of us are blessed to have just long flowing hair. He's a pops. Cut him some slack.
Yeah, I also worked 86 hours this week too. So I don't know what you guys want from me. I'm sorry. I will have a fresh haircut. I will have a fresh haircut before I come on this podcast next Sunday. It will be fresh. I'll hit the barber up. He'll chalk me up. I'll have the fresh fade. Dominic will have me right before I come back on here. I am sorry. I didn't know that it was going to be such an issue today, but it's one of those things.
I saw it precast. I was like, yeah,
it has to be a bye week.
I don't.
You could have told me put the visor on.
I would think I was a little taken back by the hair, to be honest with you. I wasn't quite sure how to digest it.
A toupee is what they said it looked like. I got
the comments just unloaded, dude. I don't know what to tell you, big guy. You got it Wednesday.
Hugh Lee, yes, I do. I do go to the hood. Yes, I go see Dominic in the hood. I bring my gun with me. It's an hour and a half ordeal. I pay him $65. He fades me up right.
Can we get contacts?
I promise you.
Can we get contacts? That's what Muddy's asking for.
No, my high top insurance plan doesn't allow contacts.
This is
it's
incredible.
Glasses only.
Mitchell says he wants to see
You guys got a super chat if you want me. I'll live stream it. I'll go get a haircut this week and live stream it. I'm off Wednesday. It doesn't matter to me.
Muddy Mitchell says I want to see Cody with the buzz and cut and a face tattoo. What do we got to do to get that? Like a little teardrop?
A face tat?
Little Mike Tyson?
Like maybe a fake one for Halloween.
All right.
Maybe I'll give that for Halloween.
Let's do the deal. So if we get you, Halloween is Tuesday. Our show is Wednesday. We got to think of something on Wednesday. Next Wednesday is November 1st. I was like, we got to figure out how to, Slav Squad says on the positive, Cody's hair could cover up Holly's forehead. Oh, geez. This is great. Drake May's here. Hey, sorry, Drake, for your loss, buddy. Good to see you. Start a fundraiser.
It's not $65. I tip him $25.
Can we see it? Can we see it before we go? Can we get like a side angle? Can we get
It's rough.
Yeah, what's going on over here? Rough. What happened on this? Did you try to cut it yourself?
No, that's just where my patchy beard doesn't grow.
No. Dominic, there's no way Dominic cut this. You didn't go to the hood for this. But hold on, take the hood back off. It looks like this side got cut shorter. No, the other side. Y'all see that? Give it a brush. Let me make sure. The other side. Okay. It was a little tucked back. was a little tucked back.
It's all jacked
Yeah,
up.
put the hoodie back
Yeah,
on.
the hair's
Put
jacked.
the hoodie back on.
Holly's 5 head, my fucking hair. Golly.
I look like a damn fucking magazine model
Supermodel.
next to you guys.
Yeah, yeah.
This is great.
Yeah, he's actually Shelton's OnlyFans is
He goes, "What are you getting a perm for $65, bro? Haircuts are expensive nowadays, boys. This show is completely went off the rails.
I tip him 25. He
Damn,
keeps
bro,
me
I'll
safe.
cut your hair.
It's in the hood.
I'll cut your
It's
hair.
in the hood.
Hey, I'll slice it, bro. I'll put the professor on the side for $25 tip.
He does the chalk. He fades it in well.
Slaps your neck and shit.
It'll be fresh. Yeah, it'll be fresh. I promise you, guys. I'll have a fresh haircut. Sorry. That's what we're doing on a bye week. Is we're talking about my barber
Hey,
situation.
not a game. We talking about practice. Not a game.
Practice.
Not a game. We talking about practice. Oh, jeez. Boys, y'all be good. Hell of a show here this evening. I love all of you. Cody's
love it
haircut. It's great. You guys don't hold back. We love that. Stay good. Stay feisty. It's a great week for college football, boys and girls. Fuck Georgia. We'll see you guys next time. Until then, I'm Shelton. And that's Cody. Yeah, I'm sorry. Jesus. Y'all got him shook. Y'all got him absolutely shook. Looking like Leech. I can't.